Owning real estate is expensive. That's not an opinion, it's reality. Mother Nature and Father Time are always at work, and every component at your association is slowly deteriorating. Roofs wear out, pavement cracks, and systems age over time. The real question isn't if these costs are coming, it's whether your association is ready. Here in our Understanding Reserve Funding webinar, we start with the fundamentals: deterioration, responsibility, and the funding choices boards face. Because once the situation is clear, the decisions that follow become much easier to understand.
Well, thank you, Paige, and hello, everyone. Thank you for taking some time out of your day today to join us for this webinar on Understanding Reserve Funding. We don't want there to be any mysteries involved, and we see there's plenty of board members here, so we want to make sure you understand that we understand your role seriously, that you are there to lead the association, and we want to show you what we're doing to help you lead the association well. So we're going to start out, as Paige has indicated, with an outline of background to make sure we're all standing on the same ground. And then we're going to walk you through a couple of examples today to show you some of those decision points, how we are adjusting the funding, how we are adjusting the parameters to design something that is just right for your association. This is the outline that we're going to follow today. It'll start with the situation that we face ourselves with the way associations are organized and the roles that boards have. So it starts out by understanding that owning real estate is expensive. Community association living has been described as carefree, but it is anything but free. Those common areas don't take care of themselves, and they're in a constant state of deterioration. Mother Nature and Father Time see to that. So everything is continually deteriorating. If you think that just as we finish a roof project, we're going to start working on the asphalt project and then the painting project and something else, that's the truth, because everything is in a constant state of deterioration and regularly in need of repair. So it's important to understand that the deterioration defines the cost. We're not here to say, oh, you need this, and that's a new thing. The repair and replacement projects are driven by ongoing deterioration. So that's the baseline here for reserve study evaluation. And that was kind of a trick question in the introduction to ask, does underfunding lower the cost? And I'll get to that later, but the cost is driven by Mother Nature and Father Time. It's up to the board in community associations to set a budget that keeps up. And with the asterisk, I'm suggesting that there are some associations that, due to their governing documents or state laws, the homeowners have either a veto power or approval power over that budget. But primarily, it's the board that sets the budget, and then it's up to the owners to pay their share. And when you have that combination working together, then the association is set up to have a long-term future. And in the field of reserve studies, it's not just the Wild West out here with everyone doing their own thing. There is order. CAI's National Reserve Study Standards were first published in 1998. And on any slide that you see the blue ribbon badge, that's the indication that that's a National Reserve Study principle, such as the idea of what these components are, what the expenses are that we're going to fund through reserves. There are things that are the association's obligation. They're reasonably anticipated, meaning we can budget for them. They're not just guesses, and they're a significant cost, too large to be absorbed in the ongoing operational budget. And there are indeed three different outcomes, three different goals defined in national standards. The first that I'll describe is full funding, and that's a safe and conservative goal where your objective is to have the cash that you have in the reserve fund equal the amount of deterioration. So that's an ongoing goal. If you think of it, if a roof is halfway used up, this is the goal that at that point in time, you should have half the cash of the of the roof project set aside towards reserve. So that's a goal that keeps you continually moving towards having enough and being on track. At the other end, we're talking about baseline funding. That is what we consider a risky goal, and that's where the association is planning to just barely stay cash positive. In other words, if they anticipate a $100,000 roof project, they want to make sure that they have at least $100,000 in reserves, and that expense may take it down close to zero. That's, as you can imagine, risky because the future is somewhat unpredictable. What happens if that project occurs a year early or a little bit over budget? Association will be out of money. And so there's this concept of the threshold funding where you don't go quite as far as full funding, but you decide that you want to maintain maybe a minimum balance or a minimum percent funded, something like that. But those are the building blocks of the funding goals. And when it comes to choices, as we're pursuing those goals, we have these 4 funding principles. Number 1 is that there's always sufficient cash to do the projects. If you don't have the cash, you can't do the project, that's a failure. And we're trying to design it so it's a stable funding rate. The association is fundamentally built on a budget where the owners are billed a certain amount on a regular basis, monthly, quarterly, annually. And we're trying to design a funding rate that fits in with that stable budgeted amount so everyone pays their fair share over time. And we want it to be evenly distributed so the people in one year are paying effectively the same amount as the people in the next year. There's no unfairness from year to year. And that someone who's been there 10 years will have to pay 10 times more into the reserve fund than the person who's only been at the association 1 year. Want everyone paying their fair share, evenly distributed over the amount of people that have been there over as long as they've been there, and something that's fundamentally fiscally responsible. So the homeowners and the board, the management company can all alike rest peacefully. They're doing the right thing, and they've been acting responsibly in line with financial principles, governing documents, and state laws. And then there's some other rules that we have put together in the industry. And I share this just to show how we have order again. And this is very simple. The expenses are inevitable. There's nothing you can do about them. The roof is going to deteriorate. Again, Mother Nature and Father Time are to blame. The board is responsible. That's per the governing documents and state law. That's their job to sustain this entity. And delays usually get expensive, meaning that the cost to replace a roof is going to increase if you start getting interior water leaks, things like that. And then fourth, the homeowners always get stuck paying the bills. There's no other entity to be able to come in and swoop in and help out. The homeowners who get stuck paying the bills, so we want to run the place smoothly and efficiently. What I want to make clear here near the beginning is that when it comes to reserves, your only choice is how you're going to pay. And we want to do it, we want to guide you to do it in an effective and fruitful way, where you're doing it a long time, over time, and offsetting ongoing deterioration. And that's a very different way of managing it than just waiting till it happens at the last minute and then rocking your homeowners with special assessments and loans. And that's very uneven. And again, if you remember the 4 funding principles, special assessments and loans go against the principles of budget stability and at equal distribution. So we're going to lean towards budgeted funding. Now, we understand that you come in here yesterday, today, tomorrow with a tight budget. Our community association clients that are not-for-profits, they have almost by definition no margin. So we understand this, and we're not designing anything that is overwhelming or overly conservative. We're just trying to get you safely and successfully to the future. We will be going through a number of concepts as we get into the examples today. And in case you feel a little bit overwhelmed, I want you to know that we have 4 webinar series standards that we present each year. If you missed these, we presented them earlier this year. You can find them on our website and on YouTube. It's Reserve Study Basics. 101 is about the component list. 102 is the financial analysis in general. And 103 talks about the funding plan. And specifically, our promo materials for this webinar went out saying we're going to talk about cash flow versus straight line, or in other words, pooling versus the component method. And we're not going to be able to get to that. So I'm going to have to direct you to our resources for Reserve Studies 103 to have time to go into the reasoning behind choices there. But for what we're doing today It's going to be built primarily on Reserve Studies 102 and 103 because, per the title of today's webinar, this is Understanding Reserve Funding. If you want more detail, again, go on YouTube or reservestudy.com. You'll find additional resources there, all for free.
At Association Reserves, we make the present less stressful and the future more secure. If you want to join us in this mission, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment down below on what you'd like to see us address in a future video. Let's plan for your best future.